So part 3. Like I said, I found out that I was pregnant Mother's Day weekend, and I found out that Friday. So I told my aunt, who is the closest thing I have to a mom right now, so I lost my mom a couple years ago, and I told my big cousin. And the conversation that I had with both of them was that I never wanted to tell this man that I was pregnant, because I didn't even want to be pregnant, but I was done with this man. Okay, in my heart, in my soul, I said I was good. Told bald head, we agreed. Now, like I said, 3 weeks after that conversation, I found out I'm pregnant. So I told, like I told my brothers that weekend, and then I told, I think, my cousin, and that was it. And then I talked to Baldhead that Sunday on Mother's Day, and I told him I was pregnant. And I want to state, just for the record, this man said he was supportive. He supported anything that I wanted to do. And also in that conversation, I had also mentioned that I was going to carry this baby to term unless they said I could not, because, I got some other medical issues going on or whatever. And if they told me that them other medical issues would hinder my baby from growing, that would give us something to talk about. He just automatically assumed that I was just going to get an abortion, which never in life. I said I support abortions, but not for me. You know what I'm saying? So in the conversation where he told me, these are the consequences of our actions, I support you, whatever you want to do. Bullshit. I support you in whatever you want to do. I got your back. I said, cool. I'm gonna go to this doctor's appointment. I made my first doctor's appointment. I was 5 weeks and 3 days. And I went to that appointment, and everything looked good. So I said, cool. A week go by, and I'm seeing red. I ain't supposed to have no period or nothing like that, but I'm bleeding, and I'm at work, which is probably stress on my body because I'm working and I'm pregnant, right? I find him, and instantly I start crying. But he was kind of cold. The only conversation that we had up until that point was that if I couldn't carry the baby to term, that, I would have to think about what exactly it was that I wanted to do. Did I want to continue, or did I want to, fetus deleted, right? So I see him, I start crying. I'm like, hey, I'm worried about the baby. I'm bleeding. And what I didn't know then that I eventually realized was, obviously he didn't know why I was so upset. He didn't know, why I would be crying or being attached to a baby that I was planning on deleting, which never came out of my mouth. I said, if there was something wrong, I said, if there was something wrong, then yeah, that, that's a possibility. But nothing was wrong. And I'm pretty sure, I don't remember it that far back, but I'm pretty sure I shared with him that nothing was wrong and everything looked good. So because I'm crying and I'm not hysterical, but I'm just freaking out. I don't want to have, a miscarriage. You know what I'm saying? Whatever side I fell on, which at that point I was going to carry. So I'm carrying it to term. There's nothing wrong. I can carry this baby. I'm doing this. With or without you, my guy. But at that point, it didn't get there yet. But I guess maybe I wasn't fully transparent about the decision that I had made from the appointment. Me seeing everything was fine. And so I told him that because, I'm having this bleeding, I call up to the doctor's office. They scheduled me a ultrasound, and I told him, because you're this baby's dad, you need to be there. You need to show up for the kid. You need to hear the same information that I'm hearing so that we are all on the same page. We understand what's going on. why this is happening. Yeah. This man hits me back. And he's like, he hits me back and he's like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. We're going to have to sit down and have a conversation. Now, in all of these years that I've dealt with bald head, anytime it gets to a point where he's like, yeah, well, we need to sit down and have a conversation. And we sit down and have this conversation. It's one of those, hold up, pause, reality checks. Like, definitely like a speed bump. You know what I'm saying? So, all I'm going to say is, what came out his mouth that day was very unexpected. Very, very unexpected. I'm just thinking he ain't gonna be like, why didn't you inform me of this decision? Because I didn't understand why you were so scared, why you were so nervous about this. Keep in mind, baldhead is still married when all of this is going on. Still living in this house with this woman and these kids. Don't judge me. Life happens, right? Sneaky link then got real, right? And if you didn't watch the second video, the second part, separated, but we gonna get there. So, we go to the appointment. They don't see anything crazy. They just, see what I already know, and they're like, it's not a problem. Maybe this is just, something different, like light bleeding is normal in your first trimester, blah, 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 which people don't tell you that. But I digress, and I felt relieved. But he sat so far away from me in this appointment that it was kind of awkward because he was mad. He was stewing. He was upset, right? So, from the hospital that we went to where I lived at that time, 20-30 minute car ride, easily. He said nothing the entire car ride. I get back to, my place of residence because we drove together. I get back to my place of residence. I park my car, turn that motherfucker off. My bad, I ain't even mean to be cussing. Turn the car off. And he, how the woman, just got all, I think she got all this information and she checking him in. Not saying, but I'm saying, he's just like, I find it funny how you said that you didn't want any kids. I find it funny how we were supposed to be done and now you're pregnant. I remember when you said that if you ever got pregnant by me, you wouldn't tell me and you would just handle it. Now, what I said was, if I ever, which, back to the beginning of the story, if I ever got pregnant by this man, bald head, I wouldn't tell him. I didn't want to tell him, not because I'm scared of him or anything like that, but just because I guess a part of me knew spiritually what I would have to deal with this man. And I just really didn't want to have to deal with that with anybody I procreated with, whether it was planned or not. Like, this is just stuff that I just didn't want to deal with, like worst nightmare type stuff. But we gonna get there. So basically, in this car talking about some, what did he say to me? That basically insinuating that I trapped him. Basically insinuating I'm trapped in full transparency moment. And men, if you're watching this video, please let me know what you would have done differently. Now, like I said, we had this conversation. We was done with each other. Ain't want to do no more. But we still hunching. Raw. Hunching. Being grown. Now, what I told him was, when we were done dealing with each other, I said, hey, listen. We could use each other for the little, quick 1-2. Because I thoroughly enjoy it. You do too. So what I'm going to do is use some spermicide. Just in case you shoot up the club. Just in case. That way it could kill all the little... Now at that time, no, I did not know that it was only a certain percentage effective, right? Didn't know that. So definitely used that, but it didn't work. And as a backup plan, of course I had plan B, but like at this point in my life, I had been dealing with this bald head man this whole time. And of course we had a few pregnancy scares over the years, but like nothing ever stuck. So I'm thinking, this it's gonna be the same thing. And when I tell you, my man's went to town and letting loose and being reckless, that's what he did to a woman that he was so-called done with, didn't see no future with, blah 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 blah, yada yada bing bang, all of that. Just going, not even pulling out anymore, just going, just lighting it up. Anyway, so he feel like I done trapped him, and this is the most disrespectful conversation him and I have ever had at this point in time. The most disrespectful, because what do you mean I trapped you? I can't get myself pregnant. You have the juice. You should have protected your seed if you did not want this to be the outcome. But sat on the phone with me when I told you 2 weeks ago and was like, this is a consequence of our actions. I'm gonna be there for you. I got your back. Oh baby, we didn't talk for a minute after that. I think like a week or two or so. I didn't talk to you. Part of the reason that we got into it was also because, and when I say we, me and Baldhead, part of the reason me and Baldhead was getting into it was because I kept saying that I was going through my pregnancy alone, which when I said that, I wasn't saying without him. All I was saying was that my body was the only body that was changing. I was going through these changes. I had never been through these changes before. Like, these are things that were foreign to me. Even though he already had 2 kids, he can't carry no baby. I'm carrying the baby. My body is changing. I'm sick all the time. I'm throwing up. I'm sleeping all the time. I can't come to work because I'm stuck to the toilet puking and stuff. So that's everything else is valid. I just wanted to add that part because that's the only other part that I didn't mention. Listen, throughout my pregnancy, there were times we just didn't talk because I would feel a type of way. He would say something disrespectful, like I trapped him. Like, I am a beautiful woman. I can go off and deal with any dude that I wanted to. And I told him this when I got pregnant. I was settling for you. You didn't want any kids. I was fine with that. You didn't want any more kids. I was fine with that. Like, I was cool with that. Cool. You didn't see me in your future. I was good. I didn't need to have a child to feel like I was fulfilled as a woman. I didn't need that at all. Said that over the years, multiple times. And I settled. And then we were done dealing with each other. I said, and if I want to start a family, I would do it with somebody else. But nah, he didn't want to hear that. He wasn't listening. He was just, you trapped me, lady. All of a sudden you end up pregnant. Well, all of a sudden you should have stopped. Just let me know what y'all would have done differently in this situation. You don't want to deal with a woman, but you still doing all the things that would get her pregnant and make her permanent in your life for a time. Just let me know. And so for this part, I'm gonna end it off at, I had multiple conversations with a few people the first trimester of my pregnancy, up until I was close to 12 weeks, about what I wanted to do, because I just wasn't sure if I should continue my pregnancy. And I'm dealing with a man who is just outright disrespecting me at the most stressful time of my pregnancy. I just didn't know if I should, if I should have kept, because my son is here now, obviously, but I wasn't sure if I should have kept him at that time. And I wish I could find this video. There was a woman, I came across her story. because she told a story about how she got pregnant by a dude, kind of similar circumstances to mine, and she let this man clean talk her into getting an abortion, and she felt so much regret because she did that. And I felt for her, and I was probably at this point, I was probably like 9 or 10 weeks pregnant. I felt for her because I had those same thoughts and those same emotions, and I commented on it. I wish I knew that video. I commented on that video, and I was just like, I'm mama talking, so he want to talk to me. Yeah. So I commented on that video, and I was like, I had these same feelings, and like, I just decided to keep my baby, whether I was doing it alone or doing it with his father. I decided that I was going to keep him because there could be so many things that could happen. Like, I could have went off and got, did the fetus deleters and couldn't have kids anymore. And then I, basically essentially would have wasted my one time being pregnant, bitter at the father, getting rid of the baby, and now I can't have it anymore. Did not want that to be my future at all. I've heard women do that, knew a lady, older lady, that was her circumstances. Got pregnant, I think, one time and did the procedure and couldn't have no kids. That lady was living with so many regrets. Was not going to be my life. Everything was fine for me to carry, and I did that. And I seen that video, and I took that video as a sign not to let this man, who, if I was not pregnant, would probably continue to do grown things with me. But at that point, just wanted me to get rid of it because it would just make his life easier, because he wouldn't have to explain to the people he lived with that he has a child on the way, that he's been doing grown things without protection for years with somebody else, wanting to keep up appearances, just a bunch of selfish reasons why he was upset that I kept my baby. But again, I was not going to let no grown man who said that, these are the consequences of our actions and I support you 1000%, was not going to let him clean talk me out of getting rid of my baby. It was not going to happen.